Voters in Virginia are choosing a senator today. Democrat Tim Kaine is facing a challenge from Republican Hung Kao. Kaine, the incumbent, was governor of the Commonwealth from 2006 to 2010. He also served as lieutenant governor and mayor of Richmond.
Yeah, Hung Kao was endorsed by former President Trump. He moved to the U.S. from Vietnam with his family in 1975. Kao is a retired Navy captain, and he served for 25 years.
Katie Lusso is with the Kao campaign in Chantilly. Simone D'Alba is at the Kaine campaign watch party in Richmond.
All right, Katie, we'll check in with you in just a moment, but let's start with our Simone D'Alba. What's the mood inside the Kaine campaign right now, Simone?
Well, Leslie, Zoe, I would say it's just really optimistic. I mean, we're seeing people just lined up and down the blocks. We're in downtown Richmond. People are really excited to be coming on in here. The doors should be opening shortly. We know polls are closing here in Virginia at 7 o'clock. And so there's just excitement building here in downtown Richmond. And I wanted to mention, Tim Kaine's campaign was telling me that he's been really active all day today. He was out at polling locations earlier talking with voters, just trying to get a feel for, how they're feeling going into this election, where their minds are at. And so he spent a lot of time, one-on-one time with people earlier today. We do know that the economy, reproductive rights are two of the most important topics this election, something that Tim Kaine has specifically really focused on. And so I wanted to go ahead and let you listen to some sound from Tim Kaine when I interviewed him about reproductive rights.
What should Congress's role be moving forward?
Congress should, I have the only bipartisan bill in Congress that would codify Roe versus Wade as a national protection for everyone in this country. Access to abortion, but also access to contraception. This is a bill that I've introduced with Senators Collins and Murkowski, Republicans, Senator Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, Democrats, and it's the only bipartisan bill that would do this. We need a national protection for women to be able to make their own reproductive decisions.
Now, since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, Virginia is the southernmost state that has not passed restricted access to abortion. And so that's a major cornerstone for Senator Tim Kaine's campaign here. I did want to mention, this event here tonight is just going to be a who's who among Virginia politicians. We are expecting people like Abigail Spanberger. We're expecting House Speaker Don Scott. Also, we could be seeing Congresswoman McClellan, Senator Mark Warner, all of them coming out to support what has really been a commanding election cycle for Senator Tim Kaine. He has a decisive lead in the last polls. We've seen leading by about 12 points, give or take, which again is a pretty massive margin. These two candidates could not be any more different. So when you consider Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, those candidates couldn't be any different. Same here with Hung Kao and Tim Kaine. We wanted to check in with Katie Lusso. She's in Chantilly. She is at Hung Kao's campaign headquarters there. Katie, how are things looking?
Well, Simone, when you talk about differences, this candidate here, he has the support of former President Donald Trump, and he is excited to see the results come in, hopeful. I want to show you a little bit of what's going on right now. We're in the lobby of where his watch party is going to be tonight. You can see they have the hats out, the signs out. And if you take a look back here, we're going to take you inside. Now, the doors have not officially opened yet, but you can see they are starting to finish up setting up here in the room. So you can see still a good amount of work to be done. No crowd yet, but they are setting up and hoping for some decent crowd out here. Now, right now, his team is hopeful that he has been pushing. There needs to be change, and he is hoping to be that change. One thing he's hoping will help him achieve that goal, the endorsement he received from former President Donald Trump. Now, he has attended several events with the former president. Retired Captain Hung Kao served 25 years in the U.S. Navy. He and his family came to the U.S. in 1975 as refugees from Vietnam. He has said that's why immigration is so near and dear to his heart, because in his words, his family never asked for handouts. Now, at a recent debate with his opponent, he said, "Don't ask for the American dream if you're not willing to obey the American laws and embrace the American culture." He has been very vocal that he wants to secure the border. He says the lack of border security is to blame for a multitude of other issues, including the economy. His stance is that the U.S. government is spending too much money on undocumented immigrants instead of focusing on the American people. Now, earlier today, we were there as retired Captain Hung Kao took his mom to cast her vote for him. He mentioned this is a full circle moment.
This is the American dream coming full circle, right? We came here almost 50 years ago. So next year is the 50th anniversary of the fall of Saigon, and my mom got to vote for me, and I would be potentially the first Vietnamese American U.S. Senator in history. And for her to be able to cast her vote for me is pretty surreal.
And you can see behind me the podium is all set up. Now they are just waiting. The doors officially open here at 7 p.m. They are expecting about 400 people to attend. And again, he is hoping to secure that vote. Again, excited to see those results come in. In Chantilly, I'm Katie Losso. Back to you.
Yeah.
Pretty narrow path to do that if he's able to do it.
Exactly. Kaine is a well-known name in Virginia, but we know the Republican Party has also been trying to raise Hung Cao's profile with the Republican National Convention, these appearances with Trump.
That's right.
We'll see if it pays off. Katie, thank you. All right, another race we are following closely tonight. The Ward 8 seat on the D.C. Council. Trayon White is the incumbent there. He's also been indicted on a federal charge of accepting bribes in exchange for driving city contracts to certain vendors. Nate Durange is the Republican challenger in this race, and according to D.C.'s Board of Elections, there are five write-in candidates who have filed for White's seat. You have Michael Brown, Olivia Henderson, Khadijah Long, June Sherman, and Michael Reese. Polls close in D.C. at 8 o'clock tonight.
WUSA 9 Weather Impact is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
Well, since we've been talking about the race for the White House, makes sense to take a live look at it tonight. It's been perfect voting weather today, but what about those election watch parties tonight?
Yeah, meteorologist Caitlin McGrath is here with us now, and we take it it's going to be a pretty good night, huh, weather-wise?
Yeah, going to be really nice if you're heading to the polls later this evening or going out to a watch party later tonight. Thankfully, much calmer and quieter closer to home than it is in the tropics. We're keeping a really close eye on what is still Tropical Storm Rafael, but forecast to become a hurricane later tonight or early Wednesday morning. That storm right now is about 100 miles east of Grand Cayman, forecast to make landfall as a Category 1 hurricane right over Havana by tomorrow afternoon. And from there, the storm works its way back into the Gulf. Still a hurricane as we look ahead toward Friday afternoon. This storm is going to crawl through the warm Gulf waters, but then eventually forecast to weaken into a tropical storm prior to a landfall likely somewhere along Louisiana. But pretty much everyone along the Gulf Coast from the Florida Panhandle into Texas should keep a close eye on this storm. Again, landfall is still days away. It certainly can change. You can see how wide that cone of concern is. So we'll be keeping a close eye on the exact track of Rafael as we get a little bit closer to the weekend. As far as our forecast goes, pretty nice here for the next several days. Tomorrow, that near record warmth could break the record both at Dulles and at Reagan National. We do have a cold front moving through on Thursday. That will bring in just a few scattered showers by late morning into the early afternoon. And once that front sweeps through later Thursday night, temperatures will start to fall back to where they should be for this time in November. By the time we get to the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, seasonably cool in the low 60s. Plenty of sunshine to start Saturday. Clouds will increase throughout the afternoon and evening. And then we'll track those few showers that are looking increasingly likely on Sunday. Might dampen the Commanders game at 1 o'clock just a little bit, but it is not going to be a washout. Just have a poncho ready just in case. And then skies will clear throughout Monday morning. And most of next week is looking nice and dry.
All right, Caitlin, thank you. And, we're not just following the election. Tonight, we're covering some other developing stories around the D.C. area. In D.C., police have released these pictures of suspects in a really brutal attack in Northwest. Take a good look if you're not near your TV right now or your computer. Police are investigating that attack as a hate crime. This happened outside of the McDonald's at the intersection of 14th and U Streets back on October 27. Thomas Lascaro, whom you see there, was beaten after he says he didn't say "excuse me" to his attackers. He says they piled on to the attack by hurling homophobic slurs. Lascaro is recovering well physically and is still dealing with some pain and the mental trauma from that attack. But if you recognize anyone in these photos, do give police a call.
In Prince George's County, a woman is recovering after she was shot inside her own home. It happened around 10 last night in Clinton, Maryland. This is a neighborhood about 4 miles away from Joint Base Andrews. Our Jess Arnold talked to the husband of that woman.
As you can imagine, the woman who was hit is shaken up, still trying to process what happened. She and her husband were going to bed last night when a bullet went through their bedroom window down there, and then multiple bullets just riddled their house. They counted at least 20. She was grazed in the back as she was trying to get down on the ground to protect herself. Thankfully, there were no more injuries, but they, of course, are spending the day cleaning up and trying to process this. But I want you to hear from her husband about what happened. We are not showing his face or sharing his name to protect their identities.
We were asleep last night and got a lot of gunshot, and we got up to see what's happening. Well, as a matter of fact, we fell to the floor because so many gunshots were going off, and my wife was grazed in the back. Thank God for that, not getting a full shot. So she went to the hospital, they did a CAT scan, and then didn't find a bullet in her. So, thanks the Lord, you know. And, he covered us pretty good last night with his hands, so we're so grateful for that.
Now, he walked us through the house and showed how many bullet holes are all over. He counted at least 20. They're in the bedroom, upstairs living area, downstairs family room. The front glass door is completely shattered. And this all happened a little bit before 10 p.m. last night. They say they've lived here for almost 30 years. He said he's 72 and that they have never had a problem. Said overall it's a nice neighborhood. They really have no idea who would have done this. So they speculate maybe it could be a case of mistaken identity, but no other clues as to who might have shot up their house as they were going to bed last night.
And it should be better, much better. People ought to love people and look out for one another, not hurt people.
Prince George's County Police says they are investigating this incident. Now, this couple does have a Ring doorbell, so I asked if it captured any of the shooting, but they said unfortunately it just really shows that front sidewalk leading up to their door. And they said that police found bullet casings on the streets. They believe that is where the shooter was when they fired again at least 20 shots into this house last night. So if you have any information, please contact Prince George's County Police. In Clinton, Jess Arnold, WUSA 9.